Well, alrighty, let's see. Check, 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 check. Yeah, that's working. Okay. And we can do that. Yeah. Well, it's like this, OG. And I'm sorry to hear the news about your sister. That's no good. Let me get rid of this phone here. There we go. All right. Let's get the decks cleared here. Most of it's lunch. And boy, I was so excited to find, oh, that doesn't belong there, to find this art card. Oh, I gotta wait and talk about that, don't I? Okay, sorry. So we'll wait and talk about that. Don't want to give away all the goodies in advance. No, we don't. Yeah. You have had a rough row to hoe lately, my friend. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so let's see. Let's get rid of that. We can get rid of. Let's just refresh that. And yeah, let's see. Hold on here. So sorry, I got sidetracked here. Let's see. Hello, John. Glad to see you. Good to have you. This is going to be an interesting show. Interesting show. We've got a few minutes before it starts here. I started the pre-show early. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe I just miss hanging out with you guys. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let me go back to the keeping up with the chat here. There we go. There's John down in the Caribbean. And OG said, should have sent you this 770 OC card to play with. Well, yep, you could have. But I thought, if I'm going to break somebody's card, I want it to be mine. And but I'm a mild-mannered sort of cuss. I don't get upset and throw things. I don't kick things. I don't scream and shout and cuss and fuss. I just get sad. If something doesn't work right, let's see if we can't figure out how to fix it. And so, yeah. Been watching, but was silent. John was silent. This is a preacher from the Caribbean, folks, who said he was silent. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've got a shadow right here, don't I? We need to fix that shadow. Can we fix that shadow with a light? Hold on a second. Let's see if that helps a little bit. A little bit. It's probably just the shadow here. You know what it is? It's this light that's at this angle now. It's creating a shadow here. And I didn't used to have this problem because, I wore glasses and I had the light way up high. Probably need to do a studio update for you guys at some point. So yeah. Yeah. You'd followed the ARC A380, missed the 310, so there is that. Well, not knowing, that's the key to me, not knowing, I just went out and found the least expensive Intel ARC card I could find. But I don't want to talk about that yet. John wants a green room. A green room. What are you going to do with a green room? I think that's a great idea. I do. I think I would think, especially now with the Zoom integration, that you want to have a green room to integrate all of your Zoomers and all of your vMix callers together in one room and paint it whatever color you want. Yeah, well, in a perfect world, maybe. I'd say there's probably 18 inches. 18 inches. But the key is always lighting. The key is always lighting. The key is not distance. I've got a friend, believe it or not, I have a friend, Amnon, in Raleigh, North Carolina, who I don't know if he still does, but he was so close to his green screen. If he stretched his arms like this, he would touch it. That's how close he is today. Rich wants to know if this is a post show. Well, what time is it? No, we've still got 15 minutes left in the pre-show. The pre-show got started early today. That's what confused you. And we haven't had a show since daylight savings time ended, I don't think. Maybe. Well, maybe we did. Anyway, I'm confused. I'm easily confused. More and more easily every day. So there we go. OG says, I used to have one set up in here that, believe it or not, was backlit. You know, I had a client one time, or an almost client, who had gotten some advice on backlit lighting a green screen, and they never used a green screen before. And the whole green screen concept to them, in fact, cameras in general to them, were a mystery. And they have no idea about auto white. It was like me and audio at the very beginning. I remember my buddy Mike Phillips, who was also in Raleigh, North Carolina, who is old. I'm teasing. He's my age. He spent, bless his heart, he probably spent a month coaching me on audio before I finally understood what a mix minus was. I didn't even know what a mix was, much less one that had a minus sign in front of it. But no, it didn't have a minus sign in front of it. Anyway. So Rich says, we are watching you an hour back live. Yeah. What you said. If that makes you happy, then we are doing exactly that. I have been playing around the studio, rearranging things, and one of the things I've got in front of me today is my TV that I use as a confidence monitor, and I threw up on it, my image. It's in a different background than what you're seeing, which is the little bubbles. So that confuses me when I look at the different screens. It also has a clock above it, and if you watch my eyes, you can see me looking at the clock. And here it is 20 minutes until 13 minutes till 2. I always tell people the show's at 3 Eastern, because everybody knows about Eastern time. Everybody knows about Eastern time. So 3 Eastern, but really I'm in Central time. So, and not everybody knows about Central, and even fewer people know about Mountain Time. And I don't know many people at all, John, that know about Atlantic Time. So there. So that's all I know about time zones. Yep. So this is the pre-show, Rich. That's why the little moniker here says pre-show. There you go. And that means that's the show that comes before the show. The post-show is the show that comes after the show. And in relation to the pre-show, the post-show comes after the show after the show. So there you go. And Tommy says it's clear as mud, clear as Tallahassee mud. Yeah, I like that newspaper clipping that you posted this week showing the band that you worked with back in the day, as they say, back in the day. So OG's on Central Time. Ha. And John is on Atlantic Time, 3:45, which of course is 4 minutes difference than what it is here. You need to adjust your clocks, man. No, I'm teasing. Because that probably came in a couple of minutes ago. Yeah. So 3:45, the show starts actually at 4 o'clock Atlantic time. I need to put that on there sometime. That'll just make it, 3 Eastern, 4 Atlantic. Yeah, music. Shoo, I would not work in music. Not for long. They'd fire my butt. Any bugs remaining in vMix beta? Well, Mike, funny that you may have asked. The current version that I'm using is .49, which was released 8 days ago. And I think I found another bug in it here as I was warming up for this show. So, but I'm having trouble kind of figuring out what it is. It has something to do with layers and positioning and adding adding an input that has layers in it to another input as a layer. So nesting them. So, well, I'll have to go back and play with it again, or maybe we can do it in post show just to kind of see what people think. Truly good people. That's a high compliment, especially coming from you. Tommy, I'm just teasing. Just teasing. Have you ever seen some of my live venue streams? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I'd like to. No, I haven't. Didn't have to. Uh-oh. Here's trouble. Here's trouble. Lived dangerously last weekend and did an all night with vMix 21 and Zoom. Worked great. Loved it. Well, that's great. I think. I don't know that that's dangerously, John. I might challenge you on that. I think that might be faithfully. That you were full of hope that it was going to work the way you hoped it would work. It loved it? Was it intuitive? Did you get it figured out pretty easily? What did you learn in that process that you can share with us today, here, now? Now, I say. Yeah. Yep. Good. Good. I need to come visit you. John is down in, is it St. Thomas? John, I never remember. St. Thomas, Virgin Islands? I don't remember. Somebody reached out to me over the weekend from Trinidad and Tobago looking for a quote on a system. Did you have something to do with that, John? How close is Trinidad and Tobago to? Trinidad and Tobago is not close to you at all, though, are they? It's kind of like once it leaves Florida heading south, it all becomes one big set of islands. Had a little problem with music, but figured it out. There you go. Audio is the thing, man. Once you can figure out audio, you can figure out anything. Ooh, and Tommy, the check is in the mail, my friend. The check is in the mail. I'm loving that. Loving that, loving that, loving that. And John figured it out. There you go. There you go. Today we are using, obviously we're using YouTube. We're using YouTube with the with vMix 27.0.0.49. Did you know 49 is a perfect square? Did you know 27 is not a perfect square? Anyway, we're using .49 and we're using a NVIDIA right now. Currently, we're using an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Ti. The 4070 is because I wanted to get the one with the what do you call it, with the AV1 chip on it. All the 4 Series ones have that. Ah, that's right. John is in St. Croix. Isn't that how it's pronounced? St. Croix? Like C-R-O-Y? Croix, like Roy? Did you really wear a Joker's mask into a bank? That is just too funny. Too funny. As a joke. As a joke. As a joke. Pay no attention to this large bulge in my front pocket. Yes. So this is St. Croix. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Trinidad and Tobago. Is it? Did I pronounce that right? Is it Tobago or Tobago or Tobago? I think I got the Trinidad right. Jesus Full Gospel Assembly. Welcome. Glad you're here. For sure. Somebody reached out to me over the weekend from Trinidad and Tobago, wanted a quote on a vMix live streaming system. What a coincidence. Yep. So anyway, today's system is, let me pull it up so I make sure I know what it is. Holy cow. How can I get my system specs here most easily? I go to, just click the start button and write in system. There we go, system information. System information tells you everything. All right, so I've got a i9. Holy cow, where'd I get that? An i9 10900KF. And the KF maxes out at like 5.1 gigahertz in speed or something like that. It's got 10 cores, 10 cores, 20 logical processors. Holy cow. It is on an Asus Prime Z590-A motherboard, which is a LGA 1200, what do you call those little things? Pins. It's the connector, the 1200 connector. Connectors keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're building systems now with the 1700, and we used to build systems with the 2066. Was that 2066? In fact, we just built one last week, 2 weeks ago, that has the 18 core, 36 logical cores. Anyway, yeah. So we also have 32 gigs in this system. We have 2 or 3 solid state drives, the M.2 type. And how we're doing on cooling. I get worried about cooling on occasion, and right now we're in the high 40s. So, and that's centigrade. So it's really hot, but it's not that hot because the max hot would be like 100, and we wouldn't want to do that. All right. So let's see. Let's see what sort of riffraff is coming into this. Oh, it's Otis from Houston. Do I use perfume? No. Are you trying to tell me something, Rich? It captures the info. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to use that. OG's from Texas also. And then we've got that crew. Oh my gosh. It's got that crew. What are we going to do with that crew? From Denmark. And Danes living in Sweden. Oh, it's not perfume, it's a performance monitor. Ah, is that part of Task Manager? Let's see. Control Alt Delete. I'm so happy that they kept Task Manager as a Control Alt Delete. And let's see, we go to the Performance tab. Well, no, that's not the same thing, is it? And I can open the Resource Monitor, but that's not the same thing as Performance Monitor. At least not by title. Anyway, this says I'm using 8% CPU at 4.7 gigahertz. I'm using 27% of my memory. Disk 1, 0, disk 2, 0, disk 3, just popping up and down. Ethernet, I am sending between 4 and 5 megs and receiving about 9 megs, and that's going to be from the NDI systems here in the studio. The GeForce RTX 4070, the 3D video encode is running 18%. The copy is running 5%. The video encode by itself, 3D is 17%. And that's what vMix is using, I think, the 3D. The video encode's 3%. The video decode is 6%. That's going to be from the NDI cameras. Dedicated GPU memory usage, I'm using 12 gigs out of, what do I have? I'm using 4 out of 12. There we go. So not much. And I'm using, the driver's not that bad out of date. It was September 4th. Probably time to refresh that. Yeah. And Marie is here too. Holy cow. Oh, and it is top of the hour. Top of the hour. Another show, someone asked if there's still bugs in vMix around using Zoom in any flavor. I haven't heard of any. Just to bring you up to date, the vMix that I'm using right now is 27.0.0.49, which of course is a perfect square. And I think I found one just a few minutes ago, or it was unexpected performance, let's call it that, in the layers, which is not to be surprised because they've worked extensively with that. So let's get this show on the road, shall we? We're going to use the, let me get my lemonade out of the way before I spill it on something important. We're going to use the X keys, XK80, with the purple buttons, custom purple buttons that start the show. Here we go. This is an Intel Arc graphics card, A310. And no, I did not run it through my washer and dryer and it shrank. This is the full size version of this card. It even comes with a little short connector here, but they give you a full size one in the box. And you say, Tom, you're doing a show about this card. Why are you holding it in your hands? Why is it not in your PC? Well, my thought was, and by the way, it doesn't even require any power. It's 2 fans. All the power it needs comes off of the connector, the PCIe connector. At least I don't think there was any other. Yeah, I didn't miss anything. There we go. So my thought was initially that I would do this show or start the show with my NVIDIA RTX, my GeForce RTX 4070 Ti, which I got to replace my 3080 Ti, because I wanted the AV1 capability in the new NVIDIA card, the 4000 series. And then my buddy, OG Gamers Live, sorry, but OG for short, said, you need to look at this card because it's got that same chip on it. And I thought, that's a great idea. I'll do it. And here's what I'll do. I'll do a show where I'll stop the stream. I'll kill the PC. I'll put this card in. I'll restart the PC, restart vMix, and then restart the show on the same stream. And you guys will only see a pause of, maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And I thought, I am so smart. That is a great idea. Do you see where this is going? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But I thought, if I'm going to do something like that, even though really I don't normally test things before the show. Generally, what you see is what I'm seeing for the first time too. But I thought, this might be just a little too tricky for me. I want to make sure that that I have the full experience, because I was thinking, this card was $94. And if this card is going to be an AV1 streaming card, and if it might coexist with an NVIDIA card, or if it even might work on its own, then that's a great deal to get AV1 for $94. I mean, that's worth it, I think. And I can think of lots of low-powered systems that would benefit from something like this. Instead of getting a high-end NVIDIA graphics card, a 4000 series, well, it wouldn't be a high-end. It could still be a 4050, but still, that's going to be, $300 or $400, whereas this was less than $100, less than $100. It is the, if you're just joining us, the Intel Arc A310. So I said, I'm a smart guy, or at least I play one on TV, but I probably should download the driver before I do anything else. So I downloaded the driver, installed the driver. The driver said, hey, you don't have this card in your system. We're not going to install. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of those, huh? Okay. So I shut everything down, put the card in, but I have a problem. My PC, this 4070 card is it takes up one slot. Okay, you put it in a one slot place, but it overlaps into the second slot completely and into the third slot partially, but it may as well be complete. Well, not may as well be complete. And I should have put a camera on it. Can I get a camera view of it? We'll see if maybe we can do a camera view of it in post show. So I only had one full-size slot left. And as you can see, this guy wants a full-size slot. But I've got a PCIe to M.2 adapter in that full-size slot. Ooh. And I don't have any other full-size slots available except one that is partially covered by the 4060, 4070 Ti. I anticipated this problem several weeks ago, so I bought a riser cable. First riser cable I ever bought in my life. It is so cool. It plugs in here, and then you can plug something into it there. It's really great. And I tried to use it with this card, but this card, it wanted to flop around, and it's not the other end of the riser is not permanently mounted anywhere. So anyway, what I ended up doing, of course, was taking my PCIe to M.2 adapter out of its slot, putting this guy in this slot, and then using the riser for the PCIe card. But then it's flapping all over the place, and it wants to cover up this card, or it wants to cover up the 40. Anyway, you don't need to hear all that. Anyway, I got the card in, installed the driver, rebooted, even plugged. This takes a one HDMI and one display port. And at first, I didn't have anything plugged into the card. I was just going to use the power on the card. And then when I went into vMix, vMix didn't see the card. Now, Windows sees the card. So when I go into my display adapters on Device Manager, Windows will see that I had this card and the 4070 sitting right next to each other, just behaving normally. But when you go into vMix, you know, when you go into settings and into performance, the only choice was the 4070 Ti. I couldn't even change. I mean, it wasn't generally it's a drop down, you know, sometimes on laptops when you have a graphics, built-in graphics on the motherboard and a NVIDIA card of some kind, you can select between the two, or you can go through some machinations to be able to select the second one. Couldn't do that with this guy. So apparently he wasn't being used, at least not by vMix, because there was no way to use it. And I thought, if I plug an HDMI in, that's going to tell the computer that it's there, and hence vMix. So I plugged in HDMI, rebooted the system, started up vMix again, same thing. Had a monitor, had this monitor right here come in HDMI, and it did, you know, performed like it was a monitor on my system when I did the display. What is it? What is the process you do in Windows? Hold on a second. Bear with me. Not a bright guy. Display settings. Yeah. When I did display settings, it showed up as third monitor. Wasn't a problem. So I said to myself, we've got $94 invested in this thing. We need to find out if it works. So I shut down my system, took out my 4070, disconnected the power to it, took it out of the slot, put this little guy in the slot. Did I put it in the main slot? You know, I didn't put it in the main slot. I need to go back and check that. I may have put it in the end slot. That would not be a good place to put a video card, would it? Maybe in post-show we'll try this again. Oh, I deleted the drivers. Well, I'll have to try it again. Anyway, plugged in just one monitor, just the HDMI monitor, fired up the system. It recognized the driver. It did have a few extra little things it wanted me to agree to. And as you know, I'm not a very agreeable sort when it comes to software and hardware companies wanting me to allow them to do anything they want, anytime they want. So I said no to all that stuff. And then fired up vMix. And vMix found this card. And on the performance tab, it was using this card. So that was cool. But immediately, before I started streaming or doing anything, I noticed drop frames. The card was not able to keep up with just running vMix by itself. In idle mode, that is not streaming. No, I take that back. I set up a test, and if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the test. Chronologically, it's right before this show. And I was getting, the vMix was set up for 1080p 5994. Call it 60. And the card, but vMix stats said that it was only doing 20 to 24 frames a second. Now the card was set for 60. Or earlier, when I looked at the card specs, it said 60. So apparently, somehow vMix bogged it down. The render time shot up from 2 or 3 milliseconds, which is normal for me. Right now, we're doing 3 or 4. And the render time with this guy was like 117 milliseconds to 164 milliseconds, which, 164 milliseconds, it goes away before I even can say millisecond. But in the world of video, that's horrible, horrible, horrible. GPU memory was 100%, but it's 100% all the time with my system, no matter what. CPU, vMix was 1% and total CPU was 3%. So, there wasn't a CPU issue. And I was streaming AV1 at 4 megabits per second, which is what I'm doing right now. And YouTube was complaining that it wasn't getting enough data, that it was only getting like 1,200 megabits per second. So that wasn't, oh, you know what I can do? I am a smart guy. Well, don't want to belabor that point. Let me see if I can go in and pull up that little test video and just play it for you real quickly. YouTube Studio, hold on. We'll find it. It's here. Live. Details. Copy link. All right, now in vMix, we're going to add an input. It's going to be a web browser. It's going to be YouTube. And there it is. And no, that's not it. That's me now. That's not the one I wanted. Let's go back. Let's get that one. There we go. That's the one we want. Sorry about this. You'd think that we were in post-show the way I'm being an idiot. All right, web browser. Paste. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. So can we adjust the quality? Yeah, we can adjust the quality. Okay, and this is what we saw. And the background actually does move. I didn't realize that I had it not moving at this point. But you can see the scroll is horrendous in the number of frames it's dropping. Let's see if we can look at settings here. And, oh no. Let's see, let's go out of settings. Can we do, it won't let me do a right click, will it? Because I wanted to do settings for nerds and see, but anyway, it was not even recording it. The live video was not going live at, yeah, there we go. That's me in the testing phase. I thought, well, maybe if I put myself up there, it will be better, but it wasn't better. Yeah. So the card by itself, unless there were some piece part kind of things that I didn't install in the drivers, this card was not successful in this machine doing 1080p 60. Very disappointed. This card was not successful coexisting with the RTX 4070 because vMix didn't see it. Now, maybe vMix needs to do some tweaking on their end to allow two cards to coexist. vMix has always said that you don't want to put two GeForce cards in your PC because it's not like a game where it's going to use both of them to its advantage. The way I've understood it, the way vMix has explained it to me in the past, is that it will attempt to use both cards simultaneously, and as a result, it slows things down because vMix is sending out twice as much information to the graphics cards as it would if it only had one card. So perhaps this was something like that. I don't know. Let's get this little guy out of there. There we go. So I have posted in the vMix forum a question about this, and the only replies were people that said, "We'd sure love to know what you find out." So I'm going to ask vMix tech support directly on this question and see if they've got any experience on it, or if I'm just barking up the wrong tree. Am I trying to do something that doesn't make sense? It makes sense to me, but that doesn't mean it makes sense to everybody. I mean, my thought was that if you had something like this that was a dual cards, one of them was a GeForce RTX something, didn't have to be a 4000 series, could be 3000, 2000, 1000, 700, 900, that would use the NVIDIA encoders. And that would take care of your recording and perhaps even other streams, but that we might be able to use this little guy to do the AV1 streams, so that if we can do 3 streams in vMix, and I can do one AV1 to YouTube, and then a NVIDIA encoded stream to somewhere else, and another NVIDIA encoded streams to somewhere else, and then recording using one of the NVIDIA encoders. Oh, excuse me. That would just allow your PC just to run on steroids. Or in situations where you have a low-powered PC or a budget PC, remember this card was $94. That card over there was $890, $850, something like that. Quite a bit of difference, like 90% difference. That the $94 card would either be a great upgrade for a church or anybody else that was on a budget that wanted to do streaming to Facebook or YouTube, which I understand Facebook does AV1 streaming now too. So doing the Intel Arc card would be a good low-cost alternative that would allow folks on a budget to use vMix's new AV1 codec to stream to YouTube or Facebook. And also, folks that are on a budget sometimes are on a budget for their internet, which means that they might be either by location, because they're in a rural location like Tommy or somebody else like that, and just don't have access to fast internet, or they just simply, it's just not a priority to afford fast internet. When I say fast internet, I really mean anything 10 megs up or above. We've got 20 megs up here, so we don't feel that pain. But I remember trying to stream when I had 1 meg up from AT&T over an old DSL line. And so we were streaming at, 400 or 500K, including audio. So the thought was, you remember the experiments we did several weeks ago with the AV1 on the 4070 Ti here, and found out that we could do, well, in today's case, we're doing 1080p 60 at 4 megs. Generally, I would not even try that if we didn't have this AV1. We would be using 1080p 60 at 6 megs or 8 megs. And then we found out we could do 4K 60 at, what was it, 8 megs, something like that. I mean, it was amazing. So for folks that might be bandwidth challenged and might be budget challenged, thinking this guy was a good solution. Now, it still may be, and I may be just an idiot and not showing how to put it all together. That's it's not only possible, it's likely. So we will continue to monitor, not continue to monitor. I'm going to continue to test this. I've got a rig at the church that is an older rig. It's an i7 2600 or 2700. It was an i7, so I guess it's 2600. Quad core machine that takes a NDI HX feed and streams it to YouTube and Facebook at 1080p 60 through a GTX 750 Ti. And we sometimes we have bandwidth problems there. It's because of this T-Mobile. The system's connected via Wi-Fi. I know, never ever connect the system via Wi-Fi, but it was either that or a 100-foot cable going through the lobby of the church, which was not an option. So thank you, Otis. I just now seen his note about coffee. I was like, yeah, I should have had some. I had lemonade. So I'm going to continue to test this and see. Now, perhaps there's a different card in the ARC series that I need to do, or something different with the drivers, or perhaps there's something vMix needs to do, or perhaps there's something I need to enable on my motherboard, or something along those lines. I'm going to continue to research this. But I thought since I had this today, and since I was playing with this today, and I intended to show it to you today, I thought at least I could do was tell you about it today. So that's that story. That's that story. A little disappointed, but have not yet lost hope. So OG says that he's gotten that card to work with some AMD cards. So going to be picking his brain on that and seeing what we can find out there, and whether or not there's any possibility that it's going to work, that it's going to peacefully here are the two scenarios: that it will peacefully coexist with an NVIDIA card and allow dual use, as is my dream, or that it will replace an NVIDIA card and allow somebody on a budget or with budgetary internet, anyway, slow internet, cheap internet, inexpensive internet, to be able to use AV1 and get around some of their internet issues. So that's what we're looking for. That is the quest. That's the current quest. Among other quests that we take on here, that's the current quest. Well, all right, I'm going to pop over into post-show. Richard, it is the show that comes after the show. Yes. You know who you are. And we'll talk some more about this. So hit the purple button, stick around. There we go, post-show. Thank you, Michael. I was hoping nobody would notice. Hello, Gunnar. Glad you're here. Yes, indeedy. So, yeah, a little coffee is always good. Let's see what else we got here. OG says, I'm running behind. Sorry, does the 10900 support resizable bar? It does. And if so, did you enable resizable bar? I did. Let me just double check that, because that will show up in the NVIDIA control panel systems information. And it says resizable bar, yes. So yeah. Oh, is that what he was saying? Well, actually, it's yes, it might be, yeah, it might be like a slot and a half. But again, keep in mind this is a low profile card. I really had high hope. You know, can you imagine something like this tucked into a 1U rack mount? Or even more than one of them if you can use more than one at a time. So, yeah, high hopes. High hopes. I had high hopes in you. Yes, I did. Part of it that I thought was cool was it doesn't use auxiliary power of any kind. So I thought, okay, low power, low profile. Apparently it's low performance. So there we go. Another quick question. Does your 10900 have onboard graphics? No, I don't think. Don't think it does. Let's see. Looking at the system information here. Processor. I don't think it does. I can Google it real quick. i9 10900 KF. It was a KF, wasn't it? KF, yep. Okay. And Intel Arc says well, did I go right by it? 10 cores, 20 threads, 5.3 gigahertz max. $125. DDR4. I don't see anything about video. Yeah, there's not, so it must not have it. I mean, it would say it if it had it. It would say it if you had it. $10,900 KF. It doesn't. So OG and I are going to have to chat about this because he obviously knows a lot more about this than I do, which frankly Most people do. I just fake it. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Could be good. Could be good. But isn't so far. And I know this is not something that everybody's interested in. But if you have a need for it, this could have been a knight in shining armor, you know. This could be a Sir Lancelot. Whoa. Time for lemonade. There we go. There we go. So I wanted to show you about, let's see if I've got a screen shot available here. No, let me make one. Desktop capture. No, that's not it. Desktop capture 2, is that it? Nope. Desktop capture 3, that's got to be it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And let's do a sharpen. All right. All right, so here is my desktop. And I want to show you what let's just turn this off for a second. There we go. That's a little less intimidating to me. What I was trying to do was to take this fireworks right here. This is the fireworks that plays behind behind my pre-show poster. Let's see what its position is. Let's set all that, reset all that. Okay. Oops. Let's go back to the main, reset that. And there's fireworks. Here's the color. We'll reset the color. And yeah, so you can see it's more fireworky kind of. And what I wanted to do was to put the poster for today on top of that. So we'll go in here. We'll go to layers, and I'm going to pick out layer number 64, which is today's poster. And that should sit right on top of it. Right? Should be sitting right on top of that. Let's add something else. See, now it's not even there anymore. Let's add a main shot. That's me. And we'll just edit it down so that we know we do have something else here in layers. Okay, so we've got that in layers. Now, number 51 here. We'll go back to layers, and we'll say, let's use number 8 this time. Go back to 64. 64. And nada. It's there. We can edit it. We think we can edit it. Go back to layers, and it's gone. So that's the bug that I can't make sense of. Now, you know what it may be. It's because 64 already includes fireworks. So let's go into 64 and turn off the fireworks. we'll just change that to none. Okay, and now let's go back here to 64. 64. And there it is. But 64 has a, what do you call it? Transparent background that's not being transparent. So there. Well, maybe it's not transparent. Maybe it's just outputting that. Let's check over here for a second. Let's go to, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go to GT Title Designer. Bring that in here. And does it have a transparent background? Layer 1. Image. That's the picture of me, and then all those text blocks. But I just assumed that all these boxes were a transparent background. Well, I don't see that. So, format, animations. Yeah, I'm not getting the whole word here. Opacity. Well, that's just that. See, the layer doesn't have an opacity option. Well, you guys don't care about all that. Anyway, maybe it's not a bug. Maybe it's I'm just an idiot. I mean, no doubt that I'm just an idiot. So there you go. OG says he's trying to rake up the budget to build an Intel system and use the ARC card and do some more testing that way. His current system is AMD and not getting the rest of it. Probably AMD and AMD. Huh? So, yeah. So, for all the news that's fit to be news, that's the news. I'm an idiot. This doesn't do what I had hoped, expected, or desired. In fact, it didn't do anything I wanted. This is that Intel ARC card. And maybe, maybe it's like buying a 720 RTX, GTX 720 card, which I have one of those, by the way, and expecting that to do encodes. Maybe it's just not the right tool for the job. Maybe that's why it was only $94, because it doesn't do what you wanted to do. Maybe I need a higher end Intel ARC card to be able to do what I want to do. But I have a feeling, since vMix didn't recognize this card when the card was installed. Anyway, we'll try. We'll try some other tricks. Well, I've got some PCs here that I need to finish building. But I appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedules to pop in today. I appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Honored. And yeah. So let me send you out with some theme music, and the only remaining poster. Well, I don't know that this poster even works anymore. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't work. Oh, well, let's fix it. Hang on a second. Can't let you out the door without having good stuff. Let's go back to that one. That's good. That's good. There we go. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with gas. Thanks for watching.